Are you ready to get your favorite character into Kirby Air Ride? Well, good, because that's what this video is all about. And let me tell you, I wish I had this video when I was doing my Kirby Air Ride modding, because it was a pain in the butt to figure out what to do. So that's why I'm posting it, so other people won't have to go through what I went through. Alright, here we go. Okay, to get started, you're going to need a few programs. You're going to need Dat Texture Wizard, you're going to need HSDraw, you're going to need Blender 4.0, specifically 4.0 or an earlier version, because later versions of Blender do not support importing DAE files, and you are going to need that, so make sure you get the right Blender. You'll also need to install source tools into Blender itself. I've included links to all the things you need to download, as well as a video for how to install source into Blender. All right, now that you've unzipped and installed and updated everything you need to do, we can get started with Dat Texture Wizard. You also need a copy of Kirby Air Ride ISO and the Dolphin Emulator. I'm not going to link those. You'll have to get those on your own. Shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so let's get started. First up, open Dat Texture Wizard. Now you're going to find your ISO file, and you're going to open that up. Now you could just select everything here. I think, does they do it? No. Okay. I think if you select this thing up here and hit export, it'll export every single DAT file here, which is what I did to, make it easier to access the DAT files. But you don't need to do that. If you want to just replace a character like Kirby or DDD, you would just export that specific DAT file. So you don't have to export the whole thing. Okay, let me do a short explanation of what each DAT file is. The M files are enemy files, so if you wanted to export Chili and modify him at all, you can just, select his file from the M files. That's EM, not the letter M. If all, I think those are icons and stuff. I'll have to look more into that. MN is menu stuff, so more icons and things like that, and I believe text. RD files are the meat of the game. These are where you store the character models and animations. So if you wanted to replace, DDD, you would click on rdddd.dat, and you'd say export, and there you go. And then you can move on to the next step. But yeah, we'll be working with Kirby, but let me continue going through these files real quick. Kirby ability is where they store all the attack animations for copy abilities. It's where they store the models for the hats. So that's pretty good. I'm not going to go through every file, but just the important ones. System, I think, is text. VC are vehicles. So if you want to modify, the Rocket Star or the Wing Star or something like that, you'd go to VC. Now, vehicles also includes the Kirby wheel transformation. It also includes the boss DDD fight, wheelie, and DDD's wheelie and stuff like that. Yeah. There's a bunch of files here. Oh, there is one more file type I will go through here. Where is it? Oh yeah, here we go. I'm going to expand this. GRDAT. These are the levels. So these are the racetracks, city trial, all that. All these models are right here. If you want to change up the levels, you can go there. But this video is specifically focused on changing Kirby's model. So let's go ahead and we just go down and we select RD Kirby DAT. That's his main model file. And then we'd say export and save it wherever you want. Just, save it someplace you can easily find it. So that's all done. You can close Dat Texture Wizard for now. Now we're going to open up HSDraw. Okay, HSDraw is a very important program. It lets you open DAT files and get into the nitty-gritty of all the files within the DAT files. All right, so we're going to open up Kirby's DAT file. Here we go. So here we have the RD Kirby DAT file that we exported from Dat Texture Wizard. So we're just going to open this up. Boom. And we're going to drop this down. And then we're going to drop down the model data And then we're going to drop down the model. Actually, you don't have to drop down the model. You just double click on the model. Or maybe you do have to drop down the model. Oh, wait, no, there it is. Just being a laggy piece of garbage. Okay. All right, so there you go. You got Kirby right here. Huh. That's not what he's supposed to look like. But whatever. I think this is a modified DAT file. If Kirby were in here properly, he would have his eyes. And a few other things would be different. But this works for an example. So yeah, we got Kirby here. And so yeah, whatever model you open, you'll find it right here. So you just go to File. And you're going to go to Export File. And just save wherever you want to save it to. I got it under Model Export. So this is very important. You don't want to just export it one time. You want to export it 2 times. Once is a DAE file, once is an SMD file. So you can say the name doesn't matter. Just save it as whatever you want, just so it's clear and easy to understand. Then save it, export it once as a DAE file and an SMD file. All right, that wasn't so hard, now was it? Okay, so now we're going to be in Blender for a while. So yeah, just close HSDraw, boom, and open up Blender. Blender 4.4, remember, get the right one. Okay, we got our new file here. We don't need any of this. And this is not a tutorial of how to use Blender. If you have no idea what you're doing in Blender, recommend getting used to the program first. But I should get you enough information to get the job done. All right, so we don't need any of these. The light, the camera, and the cube, we don't need it. Delete it. Now we're going to go to File, and we're going to import the SMD file. If Source Engine does not appear, that means you did not install the source tools correctly. So make sure that's installed correctly. Should say .smd. That's what we want. Click on it. Now we're going to go and we're going to find Kerbo, which is model export. Okay, here it is. We got our .smd file. Click import. There we go. Looks ugly as all hell, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay, so you got 2 things here. You got the model and you got the armature skeleton here. As you can see, it's not orientated correctly. This is because all models in Kirby Air Ride, when exported from Blender, they need to be like this. They need to be on their side, back, going that way. See? All right. So we're going to select both things, and then we're going to hit rotate. Hold down Control, and then rotate on this axis. Look in the upper left corner and make sure your degrees are 90. And then release. Now hit Control A and apply rotation. There we go. All right, skeleton's all set up in the right orientation. Not for the game, but for editing it. So now we're going to select the mesh here. We're going to delete it. So we don't need it anymore. All right. Now we're going to go File, and we're going to import the DAE file. Remember, only Blender 4.4 can do this, or earlier. Okay, so let's just go to where my files are at, because Blender seems to have no idea what it's looking for. All right, and now we're going to go back to... All right, here we go. We got our .dae file, and just import. Now, it's going to look a little shiny, very silvery when it comes in, but don't worry about it. You just change the mode to in the viewport to shading by clicking up here. And there you go. Kirby has all of his texturing done right. His eyes and mouth are not there, but don't worry about it. We're going to drop down the armature so we can see all of the objects. I'm just going to scroll this down a little bit so I can make out all the objects more easily. All right. Okay, so brief explanation. I'm going to hide everything real quick. Boom. Brief explanation for what all the objects are. Now, okay. So we got, I'd like to call this one the puffed form. This is the form that Kirby takes when he has an enemy in his mouth. Oh, also, if you're confused by like why we have so many models, basically how the GameCube works, or how a lot of games work, is when a character does something, like when Kirby gets a enemy in his mouth, it loads a completely different model. So yeah, this is the Puff model, but we also have, if I scroll down, let's see, should be around here. Yes, we have the, um, I like to call this the Big Mouth model, or this is when Kirby sucks an enemy in, so his mouth gets all big. This also is the model that was used for when Kirby sings on the microphone. So, yeah. And if we go down here to about 15, we can find Kirby's standard model. This is what everything else is used for in the game. So if Kirby's just sitting on his air ride machine, he's running around, this is the regular model you have here. Now you can do creative things with this. So for instance, if you replaced, if you were to, I don't know, have a character with a stretchy arm, like Choo Choo or something, and you wanted it to look like they were using their arm to snatch an enemy, you could replace the Big Mouth model down here with the arm stretching out, and then you could replace this model over here with the arm pulled in, and it would look like they're grabbing the enemy. So yeah, there's a lot of little fun things you can do with replacing the models like this. Oh, also one other quick explanation. If you look, you'll see that, okay, we've got this one. Very nice. But if you look down here, you'll see we have this one. Less nice. So basically how the GameCube handles things, and probably a lot of games do this, is when a character is close, it loads the high poly model. Because polys, they take a lot of horsepower. So you're not going to want to use like a high poly model 100% of the time. Like, for example, in Smash Brothers, if you're launched into the distance and your character gets all teeny tiny, at that point, the Smash game would load the low poly model. So like this. Well, this is actually the mid poly model. There's 3 different models. So we've got high poly for close-ups, mid poly when they're a little further away, and low poly when they're very far away. As you can see, very blocky. So yeah, we can use this to our advantage and get some high poly models going very well for if we have very low poly models. But I will explain more about that later. Okay, we got some work to do because everything's in here, but it's not in here the right way. So we're gonna, okay, first of all, let's go ahead and we're going to, I'm just gonna unhide everything. Okay, you're going to select all the objects. Oh, unhide the skeleton too. Armature, whatever. Select all the objects, then hold down Control, click Armature, and you're going to hit Alt-P. Clear and keep transformation. This basically unlinks it from the skeleton, the armature, which, now that we've done that, we don't need the armature anymore. So delete that. Don't worry. It's weird. I know it's weird. Like, why would we delete the armature when it's connected? I don't know how it works. I just know what I was taught. So I just know that this is a necessary step. Okay, so we're going to drop down the model skeleton. We're going to drop down the model skeleton again. And as you can see, we have all these joints here. We need JOBJ_0. We do not need joint 0, blah, 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 any of these. We don't need any of these. They can all be deleted. So we're going to go over here, going to switch to edit mode. Actually, you can just hit Tab. Okay, see, this is why, actually, no, that should work. So, okay, we're in edit mode now. We're going to select all these joints. Remember, keep JOBJ_0. We need that, but everything under it can be deleted. So we're going to just, in edit mode, we're going to select delete bones. And now the armature is fully ready to be connected to the mesh. So, yeah. So basically, we're going to take the model skeleton, make sure it's in the same collection as the objects here. Select all the objects. then hit Control, and then click the model skeleton. Then we're going to hit Control P, and we're going to select with set parent to with empty groups. Do not use envelope weights or automatic weights, especially automatic weights, because it just automatic weights messes everything up. We want it to be clean. We want the weights to be clean. So yeah, weights are basically how much control a bone has over an object, how much it moves, and we want the weights to be very simple. So we will go with empty groups. There we go. Now the magic starts. Select the skeleton, go into pose mode. We're going to select this arm joint here, select rotate, and if you did everything correctly, look at that. His arm moves. All right. Good, good, good. Okay. Now at this point, it's probably a good idea to save. So just click Save As. I would save this as, if you plan on doing a lot of Kirby modding, then I would save this as, I would actually save this as Kirby default or something like that. Basically, all the steps we just went through, you won't have to do all that again because no one wants to do that again. And yeah, just save this as like Kirby default, and you'll have a good starting off point from now on. Okay, this is good. I am just going to save this, but no, I'm not going to save it as Kirby default. I'm going to go into, I should have a folder here. Hold on, I'm going to tilt my monitor a bit so I don't break my neck. There we go, Mr. Frosty. I don't need the Mr. Frosty with a period behind it, so I'm just going to get rid of that. I didn't realize I already made that. So we're just going to delete that. Scroll down to the actual Mr. Frosty folder I want, which I made earlier. Where is it? There he is. Okay. And we will just, I guess we can just save here. So I'm going to save this as, we'll save it as Mr. Frosty Mesh. And one thing I recommend is that whenever you complete a big step, that you save as a new file, because things can go wrong in Blender, and if you don't know how to fix them, it's a good thing to have backup saves. So you can just go back a step and work from there. So yeah, we're going to save this as Mr. Frosty Mesh. And there we go, save as. Okay, now all this is stuff that I knew about, but I have never imported the Mr. Frosty Mesh before, so we're going to hope that it imports cleanly and doesn't have any big issues. But I've used many of SAB64's models before, so he probably got it right, because he's pretty good. All right, so then, let's see, Mr. Frosty. We are importing a PMX file. All right. So we're going to go to File, Import. PMX. Okay. So, yeah. If you ever, I don't know. PMX may be a file type that you have to install something new into Blender to use. But this is the model I chose. Your model may be an SMD. It may be a FBX, which is very easy to import. So I don't know. But if you need this, you can just look for it on YouTube. They'll explain how to get it installed in Blender, no problem. All right, so I'm going to import my PMX here. Mr. Frosty. Hold on. Where is it? Here he is. Ah, here he is. Okay. So we're going to import Mr. Frosty. Okay. I can't see him right now, so we're just going to hide Kirby real quick. There he is. Look at that. Excellent. It appears that all of his textures are in. Oh, God. Got a bit of a butt on him, doesn't he? Does he always look like that? Jeez. Anyway, let's scroll down here. Now, Mr. Frosty has his own armature, which we don't need. So we're going to just drop down. Oh, God. Just one object? Oh, boy. I'm going to have to get creative with this one. Okay. So we're just going to select Mr. Frosty, and then we're going to select his armature, and we're going to say Alt-P, clear and keep transformation. And there we go. He's no longer attached to his old armature, his old skeleton. And I don't know what this is, but we don't need it, so we're going to select this. We're going to select his old skeleton, and we're going to delete both of them. There we go. Okay. Now, next step is lining him up with Kirby. So let's unhide object 15. Oh God. Pretty substantial size difference. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to unhide 15 and unhide 12. That will give us Kirby's full. That's a heck of a butt. Okay, so we've got Kirby unhidden. So the goal right now is to resize Mr. Frosty so that he is about the same size as Kirby. All right, so we're going to select Mr. Frosty in object mode, hit scale, and we're going to scale him up. Make sure you don't click any of these red, blue, or green portions. Just inside the white circle will do to get him up like that. Okay, I'm going to hit 1 to see a front view. Let's move him around a bit. That's pretty good. I'm going to go into wireframe mode. There we go. All right. Okay. That's pretty good. Let's see if we can decrease his size just a little bit. Okay. Just try to get it. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want to try to get it to be about the similar size. Otherwise, Kirby's copyability hats are not going to work properly on him. I think that's a pretty good... let's go to side view. There we go. Oh, gosh, that butt. Sorry. His butt just keeps showing up, doesn't it? Okay, just bring it back. That's lined up pretty good, I think. All right. Yeah. And his shoes are about the very similar size to Kirby, so that should work out. Okay. Let's go back into that mode. We're going to need to change a few things about his limbs. So let's go into edit mode. And I pray that SAB included useful vertex groups, or this is going to be tricky. Let's hide the skeleton for now. There we go. Okay. Please, SAB64, I need vertex groups. Yeah, so the vertex groups, we're just going to select, we got it in edit mode, so just hitting tab after you select Mr. Frosty. Going to select this green icon down here. And would you look at that? SAB64 does not disappoint. Or SAB64, I don't know how that's said. Anyway. So we're going to basically, at this point, we want to, let's divide up his parts into separate objects because that's how Kirby is. So we're going to select his feet. So let's make his feet a separate object. So we're just going to try to find his buttock. Nice one, SAB64. I mean, it's not wrong. We've got foot. Let's hide. I'm going to just hit. Let's just hide Kirby for a second because we kind of got his size right now. All right. Okay. So we got his toe. We'll select his foot. There are some people that put up models that don't include vertex groups at all. I hate them. Anyway, we're going to select the feet. Oh, there we go. Very nice. And I'm just going to hit, we're just going to hit, was it Alt-P? No, hold on. We're going to hit P, and we're going to separate by selection. And there we go. We got our feet. All right, so let's Kirby is divided into basically his body, his feet, and his face. Um, I mean, I guess I could. Sure, why not? Let's separate. Let's take Mr. Frosty's eyes. Let's just make them separate. It'll make it easier to organize our objects later. Let's see. Where is his eyes? Hold on. Tell you what, I'm going to stop the recording for a minute and figure out how I'm going to divide up his objects. So I will be right back after a shortcut. Okay, there we go. Okay, and we're back, and I figured out how I'm going to divide the objects up. So we're just going to go back into edit mode. Hold on. Where exactly are the feet? Oh, the feet ended up here. Oh, that's fine. Just leave them there for now. All right, so yeah. I'm going to divide up Mr. Frosty into 3 objects. So we got the feet, and I'm going to divide the arms as well. So we'll go into select mode. I already have them both selected, so I'm going to hit so I'm going to hit separate by selection with the P key. There we go. And now we've got arms. I'm going to rename this as B so it'll be sorted into the same area. There we go. There, now they're all sorted together. We've got arms, feet, and the body is right here. Okay. So if you look at Kirby's model real quick, you'll notice something different. Kirby's arms are straight out. If we want him to animate correctly, we're going to want Mr. Frosty's arms to also be straight out. So let's change that real quick. All right, so you go to arms. Hit tab to go into edit mode. Hit 1 to go into the straight on view. Go into wireframe mode so we can select everything. Just going to rotate you, holding control. And we're just going to try to make it as straight as possible. That. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on, undo that. Back to straight on mode. 25 gets us there. 27 looks to be about pretty straight. All right. And we'll select the other one. Control, rotate till it's like about 25, and then make a subtle adjustment. Okay, subtle adjustment, subtle adjustment, subtle adjustment. Lower it just a slight amount. I'm being a perfectionist here. Probably doesn't have to be this perfect. Just trying to get it to match the other one as best I can. Rotate it up a little bit. Down. That's pretty good. All right, that's probably good enough. All right, let's go back to this mode. And now we'll see that Kirby and Mr. Frosty both have their arms out. Oh, jeez. Huh. That's not good. What is going on here? Why is Kirby's arm so much higher? I might have to raise the arms of Mr. Frosty, unfortunately. Yeah, we're probably going to have to raise the arms. All right. Hit A to get all of them. 1. There we go. Mr. Frosty, I hope you don't mind that I'm raising your arms a little bit, but otherwise your animations are not going to match up that well. Let's see what Mr. Frosty looks like with his arms like that. Kind of going into his overalls a little bit, but it's a necessary sacrifice. Unless we want to change the skeleton, and I don't want to change the skeleton, his arms are just going to have to be up a little bit higher. I think it should still look okay. All right. Yeah, his arm should still be all right, I think. How long is our Kirby's arms? Mr. Frosty's are a little bit longer, but that's fine. All right. Okay, so we should have him lined up. His arms are rotated the right way. There's a step that I completely forgot. So let's unhide all of Kirby's skeleton here. Well, we don't need the weapon and the microphone. Oh, that's something I forgot to explain. The final objects are joint 14 objects. That's the microphone. If you want him to be singing out of anything else, you just change this model here. Just make sure it's still named joint 14. Oh, also, keep in mind that if an object is in joint 14, it needs to move with joint 14 of your bone. It's just it just has to. Also, this object is hidden until Kirby gets the microphone ability. So yeah, it needs to move with joint 14 of the skeleton. If it does, if you say, let's say you do what I want to do, and I put like a character's face on joint 14. Like maybe I want to make him have a little singing face on joint 14. Bad idea, because the singing face would most likely want to move with the body or the head joint, which is not what joint 14 is. So yeah, always make sure that anything on joint 14 moves with joint 14. All right? And then might as well explain the rest while I'm here. We have joint 14, the other objects here, starting with object 3. That's the hilt of the sword, which also moves with joint 14. And then lastly, we have joint 15, our last object, which is the blade. This is the only object in the entire model that does not have a low poly model. Not sure why that is the case. Probably because its poly count is just very low. So yeah, just wanted to explain how those work. These are all hidden until Kirby gets the necessary copy ability. So yeah, and if you wanted to give a character a different weapon, you just change these objects. No problem. All right, now the step that I forgot to tell you about. This is a very important step. It may not seem like it's very important, but it is. So we're going to select the Kirby objects, and we're going to double click to go into rename. Now, for every single Kirby object, well, not every single, you don't have to do the weapons, but for all of Kirby's body, feet, all that, you're going to want to go in and rename it. You want to basically, the simplest way I found to do it is to put a lowercase letter in front of the number. So for 0, A, just put it in the same order you want. So for 0, we put A. For 1, we're going to go with B. 2 is C. 3 is D. We can skip this part. Blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. Okay, welcome back from the cut. As you can see, I've renamed all of the Kirby objects, not the weapons. You don't have to rename those. I've renamed them all to have a letter in front of the final number of their name. So A0, B1, blah, 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 U20. You may ask yourself, why are we doing this? Well, you're not going to get an explanation till later, but this basically saves us a huge pain in the butt, which I will explain much later in this video. But for now, yeah, just rename them. Always use lowercase letters because using uppercase, if you use all uppercase, it's probably fine. But if you use one lowercase a here and then an uppercase B, it's going to throw the whole order off. So always make sure you use all lowercase letters. So, okay, you got those renamed. Good. Okay, now that we've done that, we can hide Kirby again because we don't need him right now. All right, hide the skeleton too. It's fine. Okay, so to get Mr. Frosty to move, we're going to want him to have the same vector group setup that Kirby has, which means we're going to need to add the vector groups. He will eventually inherit the vector groups later, but I think it's easier just to add them now. All right, so I'm just going to open up my guide real quick that I made myself. I've got this handy dandy guide that shows what all the bones do. So yeah, I'll include this with a video or something for you guys. All right, so step 1, let's get the arms to have the right group. So we're going to just copy JOBJ and okay. And go back into arms. Okay. Go to wireframe mode because it's easier to select everything. So select the arm. I'm going to add a new vector group. Just hit this plus here. Makes the group. Double click it, rename it. We're going to call it left arm. Actually, no. We're going to call it JOBG. I don't know why I said G. JOBJ underscore, and make sure that the left arm is set to 10. All right, there we go. And click assign. Now deselect and select. There you go. It's assigned to that vector group now. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other arm, but we're not going to have it in the same vertex group. Ooh, whoops. Hold on. This vertex group for the right arm is going to be 13. There we go. Assign. I always deselect and select just to make sure it went through. But yeah, that's correct. Okay, arms are done. Let's go to feet. Edit mode by clicking tab. All right, we'll select the foot on the right. And we're going to add a new vertex group. Paste G. I want to say G. JOBJ underscore. And we're going to name it for that foot, for the left foot, that would be 20. All right, good. And make sure you assign it. There we go. And we're going to add another one. Okay, so now we're going to select this foot. There we go. Very nice. Rename this as number, for that foot, that would be number 25. Okay. Oh, I'm going to save because I haven't saved in a while. Yeah, there we go. All saved. I would normally have saved this as a ready for rigging file, but I'm just going to skip that part for now. Okay, so now we got and assign. There we go. So now his arms and legs should move. He's not attached to the skeleton yet, but once he is attached to the skeleton, his arms and legs should move just like Kirby's did earlier. And lastly, the body, which is going to be very easy. We're going to edit mode. And the body is always controlled by JOBJ underscore 6. And done. And assign, deselect, select. There we go. All right. And with that, all his vertex groups are set up. And he's ready to go. All right. All right. So we're going to need... So you see all these objects here? In the end, we are going to need Mr. Frosty to have the same number of objects. Most of them will be duplicates, though, so don't worry about it. Yeah, they're mostly going to be duplicates. So this is the point where you'd want to basically, if you wanted to include some fancy thing where a character reaches out to grab a copy ability, you would include this at this part. Like, okay, so at this point, I'm just going to, yeah, okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to name these so it's a little less confusing. Yeah, the vertex group should be good. We should be good to go. Okay, I'm going to, so select your objects, or just one of your objects. I'm going to go in object mode, Shift D. And then don't move it, because then it'll move the new object. So just click. There we go. We got a duplicate. And we're going to do that again. Boom. And we're going to name, I'm just going to name this object arms. We'll call it puffed. Yeah. Let's see, puffed. Okay. So yeah, we got arms puffed, and I'll name this one arms big mouth. There we go. Okay. Um, the arms are not okay. So basically, we want there to be 3 versions of everything. Okay, so except for the feet. The feet are an exception. The feet are just the feet, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah. All right. So the body, we got the body here. We're going to duplicate it twice. And I'm going to call this one puffed. We're going to call this one big mouth. There we go. Okay, we got 3 versions of the body. Now this is not like this is not something you have to do for every model, but this is just specifically for Mr. Frosty. I didn't feel like messing with his face or anything. So basically, Kirby has a face object when he is in puff form. He has a large mouth object when he is sucking things in, but he doesn't have that for his regular body. So that's why I separated his arms to make it get the same number of objects, basically. However, as you can see, we've got his body, Mr. Frosty's body. We've got big mouth body. We've got regular body. We've got puff body here. For his regular body, he's going to need his arms. So I'm going to take his arms here, and I'm going to go and I'm going to select his regular body. I'm going to hit Control Join. Boom. There we go. Okay, good, good, good. So yeah, his puff doesn't have arms. His big mouth doesn't have arms, but his regular body has arms. And then the arms will just be a separate object for those 2 forms. I hope this isn't too confusing. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment. Okay, so at this point, we need to make sure we have the same number of objects as this. I'm not going to worry about the weapons right now. We're just going to focus on Kirby's objects. Just know that for every single object you make, there's going to need to be 3 of them. 1 for high poly, 1 for mid poly, 1 for low poly. So yeah. So basically for arms big mouth, we want to copy this 3 times. Arms puffed, copy this 3 times. And then we have his big mouth body. We're just going to copy that 3 times. His standard body, copy that 3 times. I mean, not copy it 2 times. I mean, just make sure there's 3 objects of each. His feet, we're going to copy 2 times. Remember Shift-D. Okay, good, good, good. All right. Let's see. So we should have about 21 objects. We have, let's see here. $16. So I need to make more of something. Oh boy. What are we missing here? Oh, I forgot to duplicate this one. There we go. Make sure that everything's duplicated. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. I got thrown off a little bit. So basically, for every version of Kirby, like Big Mouth or the one where he's sucking, he has 3 objects. He's got his face or his mouth, his body, and his feet. So yeah. So just make sure that you've got the same number of objects as Kirby's got. We should have the same number of objects now. And the fun part. All right, I'm going to click save. We're going to save as. And we're going to call this Mr. Frosty replacing Kirby. Okay. And I'm going to make a second one just in case. Final version. Okay. Okay, so there we go. We've got it saved as, and we're ready to remove Kirby. Okay. So basically, select all of Kirby. Edit mode. We're going to, by hitting tab, we're going to hit A to select everything. And then we're going to hit delete. Make sure you've made a backup so that this, if you have to go back to before you delete that, you can. And then we're going to hit delete vertices. And Kirby is gone. Kirby no longer exists. He's gone. Later, Kirby. Alrighty then. I've decided not to mess with the weapons. Normally I'd give him special, like, his own unique stuff, but we'll just leave the microphone and sword as it is to simplify things. Alright. Okay, so with that, these objects now have no meshes associated with them. No meshes associated with them at all. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to replace these objects. We'll be joining the Mr. Frosty objects we made with these objects. And then Mr. Frosty will basically be able to move with the skeleton. All right, so here we go. So yeah, we just hit, we got our arms. So I will try to include a list of Kirby's objects just so it's easier to know which one to replace with what. Okay. So I here have a list of what every object is. We want Kirby's objects. There we go. And we just want this to kind of match up with what we've got for Mr. Frosty. So I will just put this over on my other screen so I have it for reference. And then we will go back to Blender. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. Okay. So, yeah, let's just start replacing, start joining Mr. Frosty's objects. I'm going to have to minimize OBS so I can see my notes. Alright. I'm probably going to skip most of this, or skip or fast forward it, because it's kind of tedious work. So, but yeah, just replace Kirby's object. Just join your meshes with the original Kirby objects. Okay, I'll just show you the first two and then I'll be fast forwarding, or maybe I'll make a cut actually. Oh, whatever. Okay, so the first object is going to be puffed up body. So we are just going to take Mr. Frosty's puffed up body and we'll just hit control, or we'll click on it. And then we'll hit control. And then we'll hit this. And then we will just hit control J. And just like that. So yeah, we've put the puffed up body. As you can see, there's one less puffed up body here. We've joined it with 0. To keep track of where I am in the list, I always hide the object that's now joined. And then I just move on to the next one, which will be face. So we're just going to do, we just do puffed up arm. So yeah, just basically find objects that equal an object on Kirby so you can kind of keep track of where you are in the model swapping. So yeah, we got arms puffed. We're replacing Kirby's puff face. So yes, they kind of correlate to each other. So we just hit control, click, and then we're going to hit control J, and that's gone. So yeah, just do that through the whole list. I am just going to cut now because it's pretty much just doing the same thing for the whole Mr. Frosty. It's going to take a bit into the original Kirby objects. Remember, you just have to find some correlation, like make a Mr. Frosty feet, replace Kirby's feet. I replace Kirby's face with arms. So it could really be anything, just as long as you have the same number of different objects as Kirby. And yeah. And just remember, you got to duplicate everything twice so that there's 3 versions of every single object. So 3 feet, 3 puff body, 3 big mouth body, just so you can make the mid and low poly models. We're almost done, which is good, but we do have a couple more steps. First of all, let's test out the skeleton. Now that Mr. Frosty is joined, we should be able to select the skeleton, go into pose mode, select a joint, rotation, and rotate it. And look at that. He's moving. Oop. Kind of moving a little too much, but it is what it is. Hopefully it'll look decent in game. We'll see. But yeah, let's check the skeleton, the foot. Check the foot. There you go. Check the leg. Excellent, excellent. He's moving just perfect. All right, very nice. If basically you're at this point and his arms aren't moving, make sure you go into the into an object. Get out of pose mode. Go into an object, edit mode, and check the joint that's supposed to move it. Select. Make sure that it is selected properly. And there you go. It should be moving fine now. Got a heck of a butt. Okay, we're going to save, because that is exactly what we wanted to happen. All right, so there's only a couple steps left to do in Blender. All right, step number one, we're going to want to make the... we don't really need to look at the weapons because we're not going to change them. Okay, so the only two steps left are to give him his low poly and mid poly models. Okay, so we've got, this is high poly. Skip down one, and there, skip down past the arms. And this is supposed to be his mid poly, but as you can see, it's no different. That is not going to work. Game's probably going to crash. So, to fix this, we're going to add a modifier, the decimate modifier. Actually, how big is this? How many? So, if you want to know how many polys something has, you just go down here and you can see the faces. I think you can use tris or tris as well. They're about the same, but I go by faces. So he has 1760. Let's throw in his arms. Let's throw in his feet. This is his high poly is 2,468. That's not bad. When for Kirby Air Ride, you want to go for the amount of polys, and that's not including the weapons, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But the amount of polys that a character's main body should have to work in City Trial, Air Ride is just going to allow just about anything. Air Ride's pretty lenient, but if you want it to work in City Trial, you're going to have to be a bit more specific about how many polys you have. For his high poly count, his main model, you're not going to want anything over, you should aim to be less than 2,700. So there should be 2,700 faces or less. You can go a bit higher than that. It's not that, like, you can go a bit higher than that, but you don't want to go too high or the game's going to crash. Speaking of the game crashing, let's go check our textures out real quick. Let's see, Mr. Frosty folder, textures, okay. Okay, here's Mr. Frosty's textures, right here. Yeah, so check the size, 128 by 128. Perfect. Okay, so here's something you need to know. This will save you, this will just help you in the future. You are not going to want textures that are any bigger than 256 by 256. If they're bigger than 256 by 256, it's highly likely it will cause City Trial to crash. Not Air Ride, because Air Ride just allows whatever, but City Trial is very specific. So you gotta make sure that your textures are 256 by 256 or less. And I'm not sure if this matters. It probably does. Go to Properties. Make sure that your DPI is 96. I don't know if that matters or not. It probably does, but you just play it safe. Make sure it's less than 256 by 256, and your DPI should be 96. And that it should work in City Trial. It might not, but it should work in City Trial. All right. I think Mr. Frosty has a high chance of working in City Trial because I've definitely done characters with some more a bit more complex. I think Mr. Frosty is going to work great in City Trial. All right, let me explain how to do mid poly and low poly models. Okay. So, now hide the weapons. We're not changing the weapons at all. Okay. So basically, we're going to, let's bring this up so I can see better. Okay, you want this wrench down here, this blue wrench, modifiers. We're going to click on it. Don't mess with any of this stuff. It's your armature. I'm going to click Add Modifier. Search. Decimate's right here for me, but if it's not, just put in Decimate and it'll bring it right up. Got Decimate. Okay, and there we go. We got Decimate. So basically, I'll show you real quickly what Decimate does. Let me hide everything else. Decimate simplifies a model. It breaks it down. It makes it so that it has less polys. As you can see, the lower the bar, the more simplified the model gets. And I'm very relieved to see that this model breaks down very easily. So if I lower it down, I can get it to as low as practically nothing, practically no polys. Look at that, like 11 polys. It's very good for us. Not all models will break down that easily. There are some models, like for example, Francisca's axe from Kirby Star Allies. That axe was a pain in my butt. Basically, it did not. You see how cleanly this decimates? How it's very gradual decimation. It goes very low. The axe was not that. It barely changed at all, and even dropping the bar fully down, it would still have like 1,000 face count or something. So not all models are going to decimate as easily as this one. And I hate to say this, and I think there are ways around this, but for me, I just remade the model. Like I remade Francisca's axe, I remade Gim's body. So you could probably look it up. There might be some other ways of simplifying the model that don't include, fully recreating it, because that's a lot of work. But yeah, in this case, the model decimates very easily, so it's not going to be an issue. Okay, rule of thumb when it comes to mid poly and low poly model. Basically, this is our mid poly model because this is the second one down. Okay, real quick. Here's a little trick. So I want to add a decimate modifier to all of these except the weapons. Now you could go in and individually be like, add modifier, click here, find decimate. I'm going to show you a faster way to do that. So see how this one already has the decimate modifier. So see how this one already has the decimate modifier? So we're just going to click everything that doesn't have the decimate modifier, like so. Do a shift and then, just select them all. Shift click. Then hit Control. Select the object that has the modifier you want. And then we're going to go into, make sure the mouse is in the viewport. We're going to hit Control L. And we're going to go down here. We're going to select Copy Modifiers. Now, if you look at all these objects, ooh, look at that. Decimate modifier is now on every single object. So much easier than going in and adding them individually, right? Okay, so now we can get to making the low poly model. Yeah, okay, so this should be pretty easy. I'm just going to hide most of these. So we got high poly model here. Got a mid poly model. Mid poly models. So here you can see the face count for the model affected by the decimation. We're going to set this to about half of what the high poly model is. High poly model is 1,700. It could probably stay at that, honestly. That's pretty low. So we're going to set this to about half of that, which would be about 890. Then we're going to skip this one. That's the arms, and then we're going to go down here. This would be the low poly model. And we're just going to make this about a quarter of what the high poly is. That'd be about, if that's about 90, so this would be about 500. About. All right. Okay. There we go. Okay, good, no splitting that I can see. Let's check out yeah, we can just leave them like that. Okay, so one thing I wanted to go over real quick. Occasionally when you decimate a model like this, the mesh will split. Like the more you decimate it, the more it'll split. There'll be like slits open in the model. There'll be like little openings. The reason this happens is because the vectors are not closed up. Basically, what that means is that there are certain vectors that aren't joined, meaning the mesh has the general shape, but they're not all connected. So it's not a fully closed mesh. So it looks like it's fully closed, but it's not fully closed. There are little slits, little openings. This is not something you would notice in a normal like Nintendo game, because they're not going to do probably the decimation method like I'm doing. But it can be very noticeable. Mr. Frosty doesn't seem to have this issue, so we don't have to worry about it. But what you have to do if that's the case is you have to go in, select a vector, move it to find the slit, and then select the two vectors that aren't joined. And then you're going to hit M for merge. And then, let me set, I can show you real quick. All right, we're going to let's go in a tab. All right, now we're going to play pretend. So let's just pretend that this vector is like on top of this vector. And basically, they are not connected in any way. So when I pull this one, there's an opening, there's a big old hole in the model. So what you would do is you'd select both vectors, M, merge by distance. And open this down here. And if they're very close to each other, they will just automatically merge. But if not, you can just adjust these numbers here and boom, they're merged. That's how you would close up those stupid holes. Thankfully, Mr. Frosty doesn't have that issue, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, so yeah, just go through and make your mid-poly and low-poly models. Remember, just, move the decimation around, half for mid, a quarter for half of the original for mid, a quarter of the original for low poly. And I'm just going to skip this because this is just tedious work and you guys don't need to see it. So we're just going to skip this. Okay, and it's done. I have now given Mr. Frosty his mid and low poly models. So if I just go through here, you will see that, like if I go to feet, high poly, mid poly, low poly. I didn't exactly cut stuff in half and go down by a quarter because it was looking a little bit nastier than I was expecting. So I tried to give it a little bit less decimation than I normally would. So yeah, we got high poly arms, mid poly arms, and low poly arms. And there we go. Every single object here has a low poly, mid poly, low poly, high poly version. And now you might say, oh, well, I guess we're ready to put in the game yet. Not quite. Because here's what happens when you join an object to an old Kirby object. We're going to click this tab here, this little red circle. Scroll up. Okay, that's not good. Uh-oh. Ooh, okay. This is bad. All right. So basically what happens is when we merged it together, it copied some of Kirby's textures. So we're going to just delete that. Just go through and delete all of that. Okay, we've got a problem that I didn't see coming. All right. So the thing about Kirby Air Ride is it only supports one material per object. And unfortunately, hold on. Let's try deleting tooth. That's what I thought. Tooth does not affect the shoes at all, so we can just delete the tooth material, no problem. Materials are textures, by the way, if you didn't know that. So yeah, we're just going to delete the tooth material on all the feet. Now, what happens when okay, I'm just going to hide everything except for the main body. What happens when I delete the tooth material on the main body? Oh, didn't affect it. Excellent. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. So I guess we should be able to go through and delete the tooth. Let's delete the tooth here. All right. Go through and delete any extra materials you don't need because remember, you can only have one material on each object. You keep this in mind. You might have to rearrange your materials onto certain objects based on the materials. Yeah, you might have to rearrange your meshes and materials a little bit to get them to work properly. Because you can only have one material on each object. Which is kind of a pain, but it is what it is. All right, I'm just going to go through and delete the tooth material on everything. All right, now that each object only has a single material on it, I believe we're ready to export, which is pretty good. Congratulations if you come this far. Your character is very close. You might want to check one more thing though. So let's select an object, tab mode. We're going to change into weight paint. You know what? I'm just going to hide everything that I'm not looking at. And then we're going to go to vertex groups. So what you might want to do, because this will cause problems if you didn't do it the right way, make sure that all these JOBJ vertex meshes, make sure that if the ones that you want move with the bone are completely red, that means they have a weight of 1. And you need a weight of 1 if it moves, or a weight of 0 if it doesn't move. If you have a weight of, I don't know, like 0.5, it will cause major problems, including game crashes. So make sure if it moves, it's completely red. Doesn't move, completely blue. See? That's the arm bone. So shouldn't have anything on the arm bone. So yeah, just go through, make sure there's no red. I mean, there's some weird colors here, but these don't matter. Only the JOBJ underscore vertex groups matter. If you got like a crazy colors on one of your other vertex groups, as long as it's not a bone vertex group, it doesn't matter. So that looks pretty good. I'll check the arms too. Just check the arms real quick. Weight paint. Nothing on 6. There we go. 10. That's what it's supposed to be. 13. That's what it's supposed to be. And nothing on anything else. Excellent. Let's check the feet, and then we should be good. Yeah, let's go to weight paint mode. Scroll up. 20. Correct. 25. Correct. And nothing on anything else of importance. Okay. And these are all duplicates of each other, so it should be perfectly fine. Hopefully we won't have any nasty surprises. You'll find occasional nasty surprises after you've exported this and try to put it in HSDraw. So be prepared for that, but I have some helpful tips once we get back to HSDraw. So yeah, that should do it. I think it's time we exported this. Mr. Frosty is ready to go into the game, just about. So we're going to select let's save. Let's save our work. Okay, now we're going to select every single object. And, there's a few steps you should do first. All right. So, but yeah, select every single object except for the skeleton. Tab to go into edit mode. A to select everything. Hit the function 3 key. And we're going to click limit total. Make sure that limit total is set to 2. Hit enter. And then hit the F3 key again. We're going to normalize all. I don't think we need to because everything looked very normalized. Normalization is basically just, it means that the weight on an object is set to equals out to 1. Or the weight between two objects combined equals out to 1. But that's getting into combining bones, getting a bit more complex bones. I might cover that, I might not, but we'll see. So yeah, we've done the limit, we've normalized, so that's good. Switch back to object mode. Keep everything selected. Select the skeleton. Then select export. We're going to export it as an FBX. Generally, I like to export mine where the where the textures are kept. So yeah, we'll keep it here. I have presets. You should make your own presets to make this easier because you need very specific export settings. So basically you want selected objects, you want armature and mesh, Set scale to 0.01. Make sure click apply unit is checked. Apply modifiers. Otherwise, those lovely decimation modifiers we used are not going to work. So definitely have that applied. Make sure add leaf bone is not selected. We don't want to export any animation. There is none. Don't need to bake an animation into it. That should be it. And once you've got everything set up, make sure that if you're, this will save you time later. Make sure you just click this plus and add a you save this as a preset. That way you can just be like, boom. Oh, I want to export this as an Air Ride map. Boom, Air Ride preset right there. Boom. And you got all this stuff selected perfectly fine. I'm just going to save it as its file name, saving it where the textures are at. Yeah, Mr. Frosty Textures. And we are going to export. Okay, finally. That was a lot of work, but we're about to see it pay off, hopefully. So first of all, we gotta open up HSDraw again. Let's see, where was that? We don't need to see Mr. Frosty's textures right now. Let's back out and go to HSDraw. HSDraw. Whoops, I didn't back out enough. Up. There we go. Okay, we're going to go and we're going to open wherever you put HSDraw. You could keep it open from earlier if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter. Open up HSDraw. All right, now remember that Kirby DAT file that we opened earlier? We're going to open it up again. Yeah, there it is. Model export. Open. In advance, we're going to make a new folder. It doesn't matter where you put it, just somewhere you can easily find it. I don't think I've made it yet. Yeah, it doesn't exist yet. So what I like to do is I like to make a new folder every time I make a new character to keep the DAT file in, just so it's less confusing. So we're going to call this folder RD Kirby, so we know which character it's for. It's not Meta Knight or DDD. And then we're going to call it the name of the character, so Mr. Frosty. There we go. Perfect. Now we'll be able to find the Mr. Frosty DAT file anytime. Okay, so we've got the original RD Kirby DAT file open. Does this have the animation data? Perfect. Okay. So just so I don't save over the original file, I'm going to do a quick save as. We're going to save it into that folder we just made, which is RD Kirby Mr. Frosty. There it is. Save as. RD. Don't change the name of the file. Just keep it called RD Kirby. That's why we made the folder called Mr. Frosty, because the Dat Texture Wizard needs to see that it's the same file name. So always make sure it stays as RD Kirby or RD Meta Knight, whichever character you're doing. I'm going to click save. It recloses everything up, but that's okay. Okay, first step we're going to do is we are going to delete material anim. So this actually drove me crazy back when I was learning how to Mod Kirby Air Ride. Basically what material anim is it controls texture animations. So for instance, it controls when you're selecting a Kirby in Kirby Air Ride, it controls which color Kirby you get. Or it could control his face, or any number of things. But we're not going to be... You can, if you want to learn that in your spare time, go ahead. I have not learned any of this yet. So, basically what will happen, if you leave this here, this will display textures over any textures you put in. So Mr. Frosty has his own lovely, unique textures, but if you leave material anim in, the game is going to run these textures on top of him. So he'll look more like Kirby, and he'll look wrong. So yeah, that's why make sure you keep the original RD Kirby DAT file unchanged for future, just in case. But I am good, since this is saved as a copy, I'm going to right click and we're going to delete the material anim. It's gone. Now we don't have Kirby's stupid textures getting in the way of our character. Trust me, it took me days to figure that out. Talk about a pain in the butt. Anyway. Close those previews if you open them. You probably didn't. Okay, so we are going to open the model. Should open any second now. There we go. Like I said, if this is the real original Kirby Dat file, we'd have his eyes right now, but this will work just fine. Okay, we're going to click File, Import Model. Now you're going to want to go find that FBX that you exported. So mine is going to be in Mr. Frosty folder with the textures. Ugh, I don't need all these characters, man. Okay, moment of truth. If he doesn't load in... Oh, fuck, I forgot a step. Okay, hold on. We forgot a step. We got to go back to Blender. All right. This is important. Do not forget this step, or their character will not be oriented correctly. Got to select everything. Rotate. Hold down Control, and rotate him onto his back from this exact angle. Make sure it's 90 degrees, and then release. Control A, apply rotation. Okay, I forgot that step. That's a very important step. Otherwise, Mr. Frosty is not going to be facing the right direction. We're going to re-export it. It remembered all our presets, so it's fine. Just click Export. It'll overwrite it. Now we go back to HSDraw, and we're going to File, Import Model. Ugh, got to go back to Mr. Frosty's folder again because HSDraw, forgot where I was. Mr. Frosty. Mr. Frosty folder, there we go, textures. Okay, now it's at the moment of truth. So basically, if something doesn't look wrong, if something is appearing right, we'll get into it. But hopefully, we've done everything right, and Mr. Frosty will appear as his normal self, at a normal angle, with normal textures and nothing weird. So let's find out. Please work, man. Oh, that's not a good sign. Huh. Didn't ask for the skeleton. That's weird. I don't trust it. Alright. I'm just going to re-export this real quick. FBX. Include the armature. Cool. Export. File, import model. Mr. Frosty. Okay, real quick. This screen drove me crazy. So I could not figure out Kirby for the longest time. So basically what was happening was if you leave the model names, the object names the way they are, like just 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it causes problems because HSDraw imports them in a order like Windows would. So basically it goes 0, 1, 11, 12. It puts them in the wrong order. But if you followed my advice and you put letters in front of all the numbers, it will import them in the correct order. This is only a problem if there's more than 10 objects. But yeah, so everything's in the right order, so we're going to import. Okay, well, good news is Mr. Frosty did come in without any strange things happening. He's fully visible. His arms, his meshes are not stretching or melting or anything strange like that. Occasionally you'll get that. Basically, if that happens, then you've got something that's not normalized. So you're going to want to go through, check every object in weight paint, in the vertex groups, make sure that everything is red or blue. So yeah, make sure everything's red or blue in the JOBJ vertex groups. Because if something's like green or yellow or something, that means it's not normalized. And not normalized can lead to a lot of weird things like meshes stretching out of shape and melting and all kinds of weird things. So make sure that everything is normalized. The reason I don't think Mr. Frosty has any textures is because I I left it the way the model came in. So if you look at let's go with the first one. Look at material. It's just kind of, it's not referencing any type of file. It's just ambient color. It looks fine in Blender, but the second you put it in HSDraw, what I'm going to try is I'm going to test something. So basically, we're going to go to body. I'm going to change body to image texture. That wipes out all the, oh, okay. Anyway. And anyway, we're going to go to open. We'll go in here. We're going to find Mr. Frosty's texture. Let's give me a damn. There we go. Open image. Okay, now there's an actual reference to a damn file location. So hopefully that'll fix it. Let's see if that fixes it. Export FBX. There. And let's re-import it. Yeah. Open. The imported, okay, this will pop up sometimes. The imported skeleton shares the same skeletal structure as the current model. Preserve the current model skeleton. So basically, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you haven't altered Kirby's skeleton in any way, you haven't scaled it, you haven't moved the bones at all, then you want to select yes. You want to preserve the original model skeleton. But if you have changed it, like if the character's structure is greatly different from Kirby, you're going to want to hit no. But we haven't changed the skeleton at all, so we will hit yes. Everything's in the right order. Import model. Let's go to objects. I'm going to hide everything. I'm going to unhide this. That didn't fix it. Okay, occasionally you'll get this where HSDraw does not seem to see the textures. Unfortunately, there's only one way to fix this, and that's to go through and just add the texture in. Yeah, so let's unhide everything. All right. Oh, you see this? No problem. I see. All right. So basically what you do is you select each object. We're going to select import. And we're going to select the actual thing we want. Not that it's going to make a difference. I mean, his arms are always white anyway. There we go. And you basically have to do this for every single object. It sucks. It's just the way it is. If anyone knows of a better way of doing this, let me know. This is the only way I know of how to fix it. All right, welcome back from the cut or fast forward or whatever I did here. I painstakingly re-added all of his textures so he looks right now. I'm going to click save. There we go. He should be ready to go in the game now. But real quick, let me just help you troubleshoot any issues you might have. I already told you about the normalization issue. If like a mesh is melting or shooting off in a direction, you just kind of have to go in and normalize it somehow. So yeah, like for instance, if we go in here, we're like, oh, this arm is having an issue. Like, oh no, this arm is having an issue where like let's say it's green or something, and it's supposed to be red, or like it's green, it's supposed to be red. So you would just if you wanted it to be red, you would just make the weight 1, select something like the brush tool or this, and then click on the arm, and whoop, there you go. As you can see, that selected both the arms. So what if I want to just select one arm? Well, just click this. And then I'm just going to click, I'm going to go back to edit mode for a second. Go back to wireframe mode. We're going to just select this arm. Go back into weight paint. And there we go. And there we go. Now we can control the weight on just this arm. Remember, for Kirby Air Ride, unless you're dividing the weight between two objects, if it's one object with weight on it, it's either red or it's blue. You get the picture. So make sure it's like that for all of your objects in weight paint mode. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to get weird and melty and could crash the game. Now, another issue you might have is sometimes maybe you want to make a custom weapon. Like I'll make a really cool sword and from like a block, and I'll put it in the game. And occasionally what you'll see is you'll make it from a cylinder, you'll make it from a plane or something, and you'll put it in, and what's going on? It's all weird, it's all funky, it's moving in strange directions, but I know everything's normalized. I normalized it myself. Everything's good. Normalization. Why does it look so funky? So the thing is, HSDraw and Kirby Air Ride specifically need all polygons to have 4 vertexes. No more than that. So what you can do is, if you're having this trouble, and it's definitely not a normalization issue, is basically you select an object. Let's go into object mode with tab. Okay, well, select an object, and it's like, oh no, this object is warping. I can see through it. It looks really weird. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to modifier, and you're going to want to add the search for triangulate modifier. Basically, the triangulate modifier makes sure that no polygon is more than a certain number of edges, certain number of vertex. So make sure it's set to 4. Then you just click this down arrow here, click apply. I'm not going to do that because I don't have to, but you click apply, and it will add vertexes until there's not going to be more than like 4 polygons, 4 edges. So basically that should fix that problem. Now, there's another problem you can have where basically, oh, well, this is weird. My character, or a part of my character, is invisible. It's not showing the texture at all. It's like completely see-through. Basically that problem has to do with the face. Basically the face is facing the wrong way. The face of your mesh. So this can happen sometimes, especially if you like flip a mesh in a different direction or something. You can see the issue by clicking on this arrow and selecting face orientation. Now, nothing changed. Well, something did change. As you can see, there's little bits of red and little certain edges on Mr. Frosty. Basically, what the red means is that is facing... you're not going to see any textures on that. Basically, it's facing a certain direction where there's not going to be anything there. So like if you turn on face orientation and your whole character turns red, that means they're basically invisible. They're facing the wrong way. So it's very easy to fix this. You just go into edit mode, select whatever's not facing the correct way, hit Alt, hit N, and then click flip. And the normals, it'll flip the normals. And you'll be able to, that'll fix the problem. It'll now be facing the right direction. The texture will appear. No problem whatsoever. I'm trying to think if there's any other big issues that can come up. Okay. So, for example, let's say you want to make a pot. Like, oh, I want to make a pot. And I'm just going to do this real quick. Let's say you want to make a pot object. And you're like, I'm going to add a frigging circle. No, not a circle. Hold on. I always get those confused. I'm going to add a sphere. And then you add your sphere, and it's like, oh, that's a nice sphere. And then you're like, you go into edit mode. Let's have it face forward. And you're like, I'm going to make this pot. I meant to make a actual sphere. Whatever, this will still work. I'm going to make a pot. So to make a pot, I'm just going to delete I'm just going to go into X-ray mode. And delete that and delete that. Vertex. Boom. Look at that. I made a pot. But here's the thing. Look at that red. That's because there is nothing inside the sphere. It is all the faces are facing outward to show the texture on the outside. But there's an easy fix for this. All you'd have to do is let's make a duplicate of this. Duplicate. Let's duplicate it. Boop. And we got our new object. We're just going to shrink it down. Take it in edit mode, select the whole thing, and we're going to go Alt N and flip. There you go. There's the inside of your little pot. And that's an easy solution for that. Okay, I think I've gone over all the tricky things that I encountered. If you have any problems, just leave a comment. I'll try to get back to you. But Mr. Frosty should be ready. So, I'm going to delete these objects. We don't need them anymore. Hold on. Okay, just delete these two. Delete that one too. There we go. I tried to explain everything that I had an issue with. But, that's it. We should be good in Blender. All right. So now this should be saved. Everything should be in the right order because you named your objects with letters. Yeah, everything's appearing normally. Except for this. But I don't care. We'll just leave that without a texture. It's whatever. But everything else should have a texture now. Save it. All right. So, Mr. Frosty should be ready. Let's click Save. All right. That's good. We are done with HSDraw. We're completely done now. So let's go into Dat Texture Wizard. I still have it open up here. At this point, you're going to want to open the Dolphin emulator because we're about to test it in the game. We've come so far, haven't we? Aren't you excited? Your character is finally going to be in the game. So exciting. Okay, so yeah, we find RD Kirby. We're just going to go out. I'm going to find the RD Kirby, Mr. Frosty. Bada bing, bada boom. Select it. Oh, I clicked import, by the way. Boom. It's there. Okay, so very important. Dat Texture Wizard will either rebuild the original ISO file into a completely new build, or it will completely change the original ISO file. So always keep a backup of the original ISO file just in case. Because sometimes if you mod the original ISO file too much and you keep modding it, it will lead to issues. So you are absolutely going to want to have a copy of the original default vanilla ISO of Kirby Air Ride. All right, so I have selected the file. And like I said, sometimes it'll rebuild it into a completely different ISO file, or it will just overwrite the original ISO file. I don't want to overwrite the original ISO file, so I'm going to add a little something extra. You don't have to worry about this step. I'm going to go into Kirby ability. This is where you would add, like, if you wanted to change Kirby's hat abilities, you would basically, you would basically do that with this file. I'm going to go into my Kirby, here it is, Zan Partisan, and I'm going to change it to a very large Kirby ability file. Air Ride only, yeah, okay. This should ensure that that the file basically is big enough so that it'll just create a completely new ISO file. All right, looking good. And I'm going to hit Control S to save our changes. There we go. Rebuilding ISO file. Good. Created a brand new ISO file for us. And we're going to open up Dolphin. New files should always be sorted to the bottom, I believe. Let's add a new tag. We're going to add a new tag. We'll call this Mr. Frosty. Okay. And I'm going to just change the tag to Mr. Frosty. Just so I know the difference between these ISO files. There we go. We got our brand new tag. And it is, believe it or not, time to test the game. Ooh. Okay. I got my controller at the ready. And we will just click play. All right, loads up. Don't worry about this message. This happens all the time when I'm modding. It just means that this wouldn't work in the original GameCube. But do you really care? We're not playing this on the original GameCube. If it crashed on real hardware, I don't care. Ignore. Don't stay on this screen too long or it might crash. All right. So Mr. Frosty should be in the game. So let's go into Air Ride mode. We'll just start light. We'll try Time Attack where there's no other characters. First level. Doesn't matter what machine. And there he is! Excellent! Look at that! And he looks great! His arms aren't shooting out of his body or anything. Look at that! He looks so good! This is my first time seeing Mr. Frosty in this game. Fun fact, Mr. Frosty was originally planned for, Okay. Okay, I want to point this out. Don't worry, this is just happening on my end. I just wanted to ensure that I used a large copyability file just so that it wouldn't overwrite my original file. Because if the file size is too similar, it'll just overwrite the original ISO file. So yeah, these hats are made for Zan Partisan. So yeah, that's why it looks like that. But on your end, it should be perfectly fine. Oh my gosh, I get to see his butt the whole time. Look at that. Now, as I said earlier, Air Ride mode is pretty... There, he's turned into a wheel. Air Ride mode is pretty darn lenient. Like, I could throw a character with like almost 10,000 polygons into this thing and it would probably play fine. However, the same cannot be said... Hold on, back up. For City Trial. City Trial is highly demanding. The textures have to be the perfect size. The polygons have to be within reason. If you're just off by just a little bit, it will cause the game to crash. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's see. We're going to cross our fingers. Free run doesn't cause it to crash because it's way less demanding. Because it's just you. All right. This is the moment of truth. We're going to see if the game crashes with Mr. Frosty. Oh God. What the... Okay, that was not supposed to happen. That was not supposed to happen at all. That is odd. Okay, give me a second. I get Dolphin back up. That's very odd. I've never had a crash on this screen before. All right. Let's see if it's going to crash or not. And it crashed. Oh, God. Okay, I'm not going to workshop this, but basically, you got a task ahead of you if this happens. And you wanted to get it, and if you want to get the character to work in City Trial. It's easier if you don't, but if you wanted to get the City Trial, work in City Trial, you got to work this out. The polygons are probably the issue here. Basically, what I would, hold on. Why is it not updating? OBS, what are you doing, man? Okay, there we go. We're back. Okay, so basically, if that happens to you and the game crashes, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to meddle with the decimator a bit. Basically, if it crashes, it means it's too much for the game. Let's see what we're working with here. Hold on. Either the texture is too big or it's too much for the game. There shouldn't be anything wrong with the textures, though. The textures, I already checked the texture size. Hold on. Let's see. Pretty sure the texture size is good. What's going on here? Where is Mr. Frosty? Let's check the redouble. Just double check the texture size. Mr. Frosty. Here it is. Let me just check something. Properties. Details. Yeah, the size of the texture should be fine. The tooth is even smaller. So it's not a texture issue. It must be a polygon issue. So I'm not going to go through this because it's going to take a while, but basically you're just going to have to meddle with the decimator. So let's see what we're working with here. Let's go with the high poly models. There we go. 2,400. Huh. That's not that high. It might be that the mid poly model and the low poly model are just not low enough. You might have to mess with them a bit. Let's see. So yeah, I'd say reduce this by a good like yeah, I don't know, like reduce it by like like 200 more faces. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole process. You're just going to have to workshop it and just meddle with the decimation a bit. That's pretty much it, though. Hey, I think it's a success. We got him into the game. He doesn't work in City Trial yet, but once I've meddled with the decimation a bit more, made the low poly way more low poly, he should work fine in City Trial. This is pretty long, but I am going to edit it down. I guess we have time for one last thing. I'm going to show you how to do one more thing. Hold on, I got to save this. All right, Mr. Frosty's saved, so I can edit him later and get him working in City Trial. Let's open a very specific file. Yeah, this should work. Okay, so here we have Partisan here. This is a file I use to edit hats. No one has really covered this, so I'm going to explain it real quick. Don't bother with the wing cap, you can't change it. Most of the caps you can change, though. So what I've discovered is that there's a strange relationship between the hats in Kirby Air Ride and their bones. So this is basically what you want to do. You want to have it connected to its bone, obviously, but have the bone be in the center and have the hat be back here a ways. Or basically, you want to move the hat around. I'll go into edit mode to make this easier. Select all of it and move it. So basically have the bone in the center there. You see it's like over here. And you can move this up and down. And that will adjust where the hat is in the game. You can also scale it and do whatever you want with it. But yeah, you'd think that you'd want to move the bones with the hat, but that is not the case. So this is the appropriate distance for this type of hat. There are some hats that are different, like if I go to headphones, they're a little bit closer. So for some reason, headphones, and I believe there's one other. I believe it's the ice. Yeah, the ice hat. The ice hat and the headphones have to be this distance from the bones. And you can kind of like, move them around. Let's say I've got a really tall character. I can move it up there. And then, or I got a really smaller character than Kirby. I can move it down there. And that's how that works. That's how the hats work. I don't know why they work this way. You think that you'd want to move it with the bone, but you don't. You want to move the mesh separate from the bone while keeping it attached to the bone. Oh, this was a long video. I had to put a lot of work into it. I hope someone uses this because, oh God, this was so much work to figure all of this out. And I would say I did it on my own. I have to really thank, I have to really give a big shout out to Kirby Air Ride Online. They did so much. They were so helpful. They did so much documentation on how to mod Kirby Air Ride. But yeah, big thanks to them. And that's it. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more characters modded into the game, you can check out my Kirby Star Alliance video where I modded almost just about 20 characters into Kirby Air Ride. all classic Kirby characters and newer Kirby characters. So that's pretty cool. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you got all the information you needed to mod characters and vehicles into Kirby Air Ride. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you. Okay. Well, I hope you do some really cool stuff with this. Could someone please add Biospark? Biospark would be cool, right? Maybe a mirror? Well, I'm out.